Jim with Harvest Harmonics, and welcome to another episode of The Profitable Farmer. And as of the time that I am recording this, it's early October 2022, and most farmers are probably in the middle of the harvest right now, at least those that are here in the United States and up in the Northern Hemisphere. A lot of other farmers, like down in South Africa and the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, these are just getting started or they've just gotten started within the last month or two. So you guys are probably just getting started. And if you guys have any questions, I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to answer questions because I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of questions, I answer a lot of questions, and sometimes it's nice to have a forum where people that are interested can feel free to ask questions. So if you're watching this live here on Facebook or watching this on YouTube live, feel free to just type in the comments any questions you may have, and I would love to answer them for you. I'd love to be a part of that. And I invite you. I want to answer your questions. While I'm waiting for you guys to get started and type your questions in, I just kind of wanted to mention that our technology, because I do get this asked quite a lot, is do you have a garden system? Do you have a garden device? Is your system only for large growers? And the answer to that question is yes, we do have a garden system. In fact, we have small 3/4 inch pipe fittings, and we have 1 inch pipe fittings as well, which are designed for more home users. And they can also be used for small farmers that have, let's say, half an acre or less than half an acre. Maybe you have a little garden in the backyard, or maybe you just want to water your lawn and have a nice green, healthy lawn, where you don't want to use a bunch of chemicals and that kind of stuff, but you want nice, healthy plants. Then our system will work just as well for the gardening application and the home use as it does for big commercial operations. And it really boils down to just a small transmitter that we use that handles any kind of home use. So if you're a gardener or a home user and you're interested in this technology and you want to use it in your home, please just give us a call or send us an email and let's work out. We can get you the garden product as well. Or you can also go on boostergarden.com. It's a special website we created specifically for the garden market. And if you guys are in the garden space and you are, let's say you're in Home Depot or Lowe's, or you have your distributor, a similar type of a garden center, and you want to carry this for home use, please let us know because we do have representative and distributor opportunities for garden products as well. Our main focus is really on the agricultural market, mainly because, our mission is to help people eat healthier and have healthier food. And primarily, of course, that means that we want to service the commercial agricultural market. But hey, if you have a victory garden or you just like to grow your own food or you like to, you have your own fruits and vegetables, even if it's just a plant or two, or if you just, like I said, want a nice lawn, we'd be happy to help you with that. So just let us know if you have a home, if you don't have a big farm or whatever, but you're still interested, we would love to work with you also. Just let us know. Another question here is the technology easy to transport? Yes, actually, it's very easy to transport. It's very, very simple to use. It's actually relatively small. The cool thing about our technology is that it forms the little transmitters. I mean, I didn't have one with me, but we have small transmitters like you see here. Like this is actually not one of our units, but they're small metal discs. They're about that big, and we program them with all of our Kyminasi programs. They almost act like a little computer chip that you attach to your irrigation system. And then every time you water the crops, our system is sending signals into the water, but they're frequency waves. They're electronic waves that are carried by the water to the plants. And so because we're not a big chemical input or a big fertilizer, you don't need to have these giant trucks or train loads just going back and forth from manufacturer to farm. And that's one of the ways that we're saving farmers a ton of money because we're able to save them 20%, 30%, up to 50% of their fertilizer usage. And let's face it, it costs a lot of money to transport a lot of the fertilizer from one point to another. That's actually one of the big cost factors that one of the reasons why fertilizer went so high this last year is because the fuel cost of transportation, of sending it by truckload or whatever from one place to another, diesel fuel went up, everything else went up. And so it made it a lot more expensive to transport. If you had to have 5 tons, 10 tons of fertilizer, it costs a lot of money to transport all that from the manufacturer to your farm. So that was a big part of that cost increase that you had to absorb this last year. And there's a lot of other factors too. I'm not saying that was the only thing, but the answer to your question is Yes, our systems are relatively small and easy to transport. In fact, we ship our product all over the world. And generally, the most we've ever had to pay for shipping to get it from our office here in Florida to anywhere in the world is like over into Australia and those places where the shipping might be $300, $400, $500 for a kit for a unit. But other than that, in most places we ship it anywhere around the world for less than $200. So it's very, very inexpensive. Next question is, do you have any installations in apples? That's funny you mentioned that, and we do. We talked to an apple grower today in Mexico, and they should be starting with us hopefully very soon. Uh, we do have some apple growers up in Maine and up in I'm trying to think of where it is in the Northeast. We have a couple of growers out actually in Washington State and some other guys over in Maine. So we do have apple installations. They're doing really well. They're reporting real big differences in fungal resistance, especially with like Honeycrisp. You get bitter pit and other fungal infections. We're doing a really good job with those and really helping farmers in those. And we're also running another farm in Michigan, I believe, as well, who's running some experiments with Michigan State on some apples. And of course, once we get the harvest numbers, then we'll let you guys know how we're doing on apples. We have a lot of stone fruit as well, peaches, plums, those types of things, even avocados and those types of things. We do really well with stone fruit. So if you have that type of cherries as another one. Cherry growers, if you're not using our Kyminasi crop booster, you guys are losing tens of thousands of dollars per acre. I mean, we have a guy down in Chile, and this is in Chile. This is not up here in the United States. They sell stuff less expensive down there in Chile, but the Chilean farmers are telling us they're making $46,000, $47,000 a hectare more with Kyminasi because 25, 30% increase in yield on cherries is a huge amount of money. Cherries is a very high value crop, and it's also a fickle, kind of a finicky crop. So we're adding a lot of stability to that. We're also adding a lot of increased production and bigger berries and bigger quality. So if you're growing cherries or anything like that and you're not using Kyminasi, you're just leaving money on the table, losing a lot of money. And we make it really, really easy for big growers as well with our data evaluation program. So if you have a science team and you want to engage in scientific type trials on your farm with us, we have a special program for you and we can walk you through how that works. But really, really, really great results with that. Next question is, does the unit need to be plugged into power? Good question. No, actually, our transmitters operate almost like a battery. They have they're pre-installed, and once you use them the first time, it activates the transmitters, and from that point forward, they last for 2 years before they need to be replaced. So you don't have to sit there and replace them every month or every 2 months, or try to connect some fancy piece of equipment or power or anything like that. In fact, that was one of the reasons why we created the way we did, is because very early on in our R&D, farmers said, look, in a lot of my pumps and a lot of the places where we need to install this, I don't have electricity and I can't be running wires all throughout my farm, or that's just going to be not worth my time. So we listened to the farmers and we created a self-sustained transmitter that has pre-programmed with the frequencies and the energy that it needs to last for 2 years. So no external power or any other hookups are required. Sorry. I do a lot of talking on this show, so I kind of have to get some water. Speaking of this, actually, this is another good question we get a lot is, the Kyminasi crop booster, Kyminasi Plants crop booster is designed for plants. Well, what happens if humans drink it? Now, this particular water here is Kyminasi water, but it's Kyminasi water for humans, right? Now, this water is not being sold on the commercial market. We do have a unit in our office, but it is right at this point a bit expensive. But the cool thing about this water is it's got frequencies that are tuned into human biology. And the frequencies within this water actually make this a lot more absorbable at the cellular level. So we have, here at the office, we have a water that's 45% absorbable at the cellular level, whereas average bottled water is maybe 2 or 3% absorbable. So we do have special water for us here at the office, and when we're ready, we will be launching the commercial product to get this out to the public for people as well. But the question we always get is, does the Kyminasi plant's crop booster, is that water, um, is that safe for drinking? And the answer is yes. It won't do anything for humans. It doesn't positively benefit you. It won't negatively hurt you either. The signals, the frequencies that we have are tuned into a plant's biology, and those frequency or signaling patterns are completely different than humans or animals or even insects. So our system is really geared toward improving plant biology, and it does not actually affect other organisms, because every type of animal or every type of biological organism is tuned into their own biological systems, and those systems have their own frequency patterns. So if you drink the Kyminasi plant's water, it's not going to benefit you, it's not going to hurt you, but it just won't have any effect either way. So good question for that, though. I get that question a lot. The next question I get quite often is, um, will this work on lawn or grass or turf? I get those types of questions a lot. Like, does it work on this particular type of plant or crop? Yes. If the plant is a photosynthetic plant, which is of course almost all plants, it will definitely work. It enhances photosynthesis in plants. So, if you have a Venus flytrap, or if you have a fungus like a mushroom or something like that that's not a plant, then no, our system won't work for you, right? But if it is a photosynthetic plant, it doesn't matter if it's grass or if it's a house plant or if it's a row crop or a tree. All our system works on every type of photosynthetic plant. The other question I get quite often is, does your technology affect pollinators like bees, for example? I know that with the use of pesticides and other chemicals, there's a lot of concern with the fact that we might be harming bee populations and reducing pollinator counts or destroying colonies and various things. Our frequency patterns, we've tested this, has no effect, no negative effects have been observed. We've installed our technology on hundreds and hundreds of farms around the world, including a lot of universities, and we've never seen any adverse effects to pollinators in any way. Nothing to do with hive collapse or anything like that. We've not noticed any difference in pollinators. Again, our signals are just geared toward improving the plant's biology. Now, a plant, people are kind of confused that, and I'll bring this point up here. We have mentioned, and if you've watched our presentations, we do mention that our technology improves insect resistance, right? But the insect resistance we're talking about is predatory insects, like thrips, like aphids, like beetles, things that would be damaging to a plant. Now, predatory insects are insects that are harming the plant or feeding off of plants. Now, in nature, plants have their own defenses against these types of predators, right? Sometimes they will adjust their pheromones, so they'll put off kind of a scent, if you will, that will detract certain insects. And sometimes they will change the biochemistry of their leaves so that the insects that start to eat the leaves can actually get to the point where they cannot digest the leaves and they'll die, or they'll start to avoid plants that give off this sort of biochemical response. Just like we have an immune system against bacteria and viruses, plants have their own defenses against insects and against predators and against viruses and bacteria as well. But they do not have things which would harm pollinators, right? That kind of makes sense, right? If you're a plant, you want pollinators to come in and you want to attract them into your flowers because they pollinate the flowers and they become your fruit, which is the plant's offspring. So the plant's natural defenses are enhanced are enhanced with Kyminasi Plant Booster, but it does not have a negative effect directly on insects. It's just the plant's own immune system will ward off those predatory insects without harming the pollinators. So I wanted to make that clear. Next question I get is, how do your sensors deal with the high electrical conductivity levels, high EC levels? Good question. They're transmitters, not sensors, but that's fine. We get that quite a lot. And the answer to that question is the transmitters improve microbiology in the soil. One of the key aspects of our system is that about 300 to 400 of the signals that make up our programming are directed not at the plant but at the microbes in the soil. So things like cyanobacteria and mycorrhizae and other types of soil-borne uh, beneficial bacteria and beneficial microorganisms are enhanced. In other words, they actually have signals that boost their activity in the soil as well. And when you can improve microbial activity in the soil, they perform a lot of the natural functions you'd normally see. So they help reduce excess sodium concentrations by helping bind sodium with other minerals and water and other things so that they flush out of the soil and they don't accumulate in soil the way they would normally. So our system can reduce electrical conductivity, which is a measure of sodium concentration, simply by improving microbial activity in the soil. And that's another reasons why, and that'll lead me to my next question. My next question is, how is your technology able to increase yields and save fertilizer at the same time? Because kind of that's counterintuitive. You think, well, if you're reducing fertilizer usage, you're going to reduce yield also. And the key to that is by improving microbial activity. The microbes in the soil are nature's way of, number one, pulling nitrogen and sequestering nitrogen and carbon out of the air, and taking those minerals out of the air and bringing them into the soil and making them available for the plant to use. That's how nature's been evolving over the last several million years, and that's why plants have been around for hundreds of millions of years now. And that's nature's way of giving plants the nitrogen and carbon they need to grow and produce good fruits and vegetables, is that microbial activity in the soil. And so our system is enhancing and reinforcing those natural microbes in the soil and that natural process. Now, what happens when you overuse fertilizers and chemicals is you unfortunately can increase electrical conductivity, because that's one of the things that the fertilizers do to the soil. But when you increase electrical conductivity, you also reduce microbial function in soil, and you actually create a situation where you need to keep adding more and more fertilizers every year, and you reduce nature's ability to sort of rebalance the soil and keep it healthy. So our system is helping nature balance itself back to where you don't have those excess electrical conductivity or sodium ions, and you don't have an excess of, let's say, NPK. You have a good balance of the macro and micronutrients that the plants need. So our system is a sustainable solution as well as an effective solution and a cost-effective solution as well. Any other questions, guys? I would like to answer them for you if I could. So I'm trying not to sneeze. So if I'm grabbing my nose, I apologize. I'm trying not to sneeze here. But what other questions do you have? I'm here to answer them for you if you can. Um, One other thing I'll mention too is, you know, people ask us about our guarantee. And that's a good question, because I think a lot of times people ask us about the guarantee. Now, our guarantee is not there to do anything other than just to let you know that we stand behind our product. We want you to trust us. We want farmers to be able to have confidence in our product like we do, because we see the results every day. So of course we're confident and we know that it works, but a lot of times the farmer can't really have that confidence in this until they see the results themselves. So we put the money back guarantee there just as a peace of mind type of a thing. We know that, or you're never going to ask for your money back. We know that you're going to be very happy with the results, that you're going to get the results that you want. And so we're never really worried about it, but it's there in case you need it for some other reason. So the guarantee works very simply, and that is, we know that we're going to produce more income for your farm than the cost of our system. And if you don't, we will reimburse you the difference. So let's say you spend $10,000 on our product, right? And let's say over the course of that season, you only see a $4,000 return. In other words, you increase your yield by 4,000, but it wasn't enough to pay for our system. And you say, you know what, I've tried your product, I don't want it anymore. You give us the equipment back, and then we would reimburse you the difference. We would give you back the extra 6,000 you didn't make. And that way, the worst the farmer can do is break even with us just for trying this out. Now, of course, from our perspective, we already know, we haven't had a single farmer in over 500 farms now that has ever asked for his money back. So we know the farmer is going to make more money. We know the farmer is going to be successful. So we put the guarantee out there because we know we're never going to have to use it. And at the end of the day, if at some point some farmer says, hey, I didn't see a result, if it's 1 out of 500, I think we're doing pretty good. In fact, so far it's 0 out of 500, but if it becomes 1 out of 500, we're not going to lose any sleep over it. We want to make sure we're taking care of our farmers. That's all I got today, guys. I want to just thank you for joining us and for being here. Thank you so much for all your hard work as farmers. And as you're wrapping up your harvest this year, I want to invite you to please give us a call or send us an email. We want to work with you guys. If it's too late this season to really get anything going, that's totally fine. But let's start having the conversation for next year. Let's start really taking care of you and really setting yourself up for the maximum amount of success next year, because there's a lot of things that are changing in the world, and there's a lot of things that are changing in agriculture also. A lot of governments are starting to regulate farmers and telling them how much fertilizer they can use and saying you have to reduce your fertilizer usage by 20, 30, 50% in the next 1 to 2 years. And if farmers don't take action now, there's going to be serious problems. So don't wait until your government decides they're going to do the same thing that Canada and the Netherlands and Sri Lanka and some of these other guys have. Take advantage of our crop booster system and set yourself up to be more efficient now before the regulations kick in so that you can have a lot more success going forward. I hope all this helps you. I hope these answered a lot of your questions. If for some reason you didn't get a chance to ask the question that you wanted to ask, or you're watching this a little bit later than our live broadcast, put the questions in the comments here. We'd love to answer them off the air. Or if they're a good enough question or we get them often enough, we may answer them on a future episode as well. That's all we got today, guys. I want to thank you so much, and let's help you become part of the future of farming today. Give us a call or send us an email, and let's work together so that you can have a very successful year this year and next year as well. Have a great day.